So you guys don't know me very well. My name is Jess. For those of you that don't know, I am a civil deputy for the Custer County Sheriff's Office. And my job is very intense. It's very interesting. It's very unique. I work civil and criminal. So my days are very unusual to the norm. I love it. Great place to minister. I'm also a firm believer that you don't just have one testimony. The Lord continues to give you a testimony and increase your testimony your entire life. I'm going to start with some scriptures. If you guys can keep that in mind as we go, you'll see how it plays in. Hebrews 13:5-6. For he himself said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. So we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper. I will not fear. What can man do to me? Psalms 121:5. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you, be strong and courageous? Do not be afraid, nor be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Psalms 31:24. Be of good courage, and he shall strengthen your heart, all you who hope in the Lord. Romans 8:28. And we know that all things work together for good for those who love the Lord, to those who are called according to his purpose. Psalms 73:28. But it is good for me to draw near to God. I have put my trust in the Lord God, that I may declare all your works. Proverbs 4:18. The path of the righteousness is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day. So I'm going to tell you my testimony chunk over the last year, because it has been unbelievable. September 5th was the day that my entire life changed. I walked into work assuming it was going to be our normal crazy, which is a normal day. I was just finishing my debriefing of what I needed to finish up from night shift, 24/7 stuff, getting ready to head into what we needed to work on that day, when every page went off possible to mankind. And the radio started blowing up. It was a double fatality. An older couple had gotten T-boned on a moped with no helmets. So the guys that we had on shift took off for the location. I headed to dispatch. We had one dispatcher, and when stuff like that happens, it's all hands on deck. So she's on the phone when I ran in with the lady who had hit those two people, and she was screaming on the phone, they're dead, I have to move them, people are watching. And so our dispatcher's focus was on that woman at that time. It was my job to get help there as fast as we could, which involved search and rescue, fire department for traffic control. Every single deputy on, because people are going to gawk, there's going to be phones, it's a mess and a half. So I'm calling, I'm paging, and we get everybody headed in the right direction. It was an ugly mess. And as that settled down and deputies were able to kind of get freed up, we had a guy turn himself in on a meth warrant who was just a hot mess. So back a couple of them come to deal with that. And then we had a call on a drunk lady. We had to pick her up. She had warrants. We had to arrest her. And I had our school resource officer walk in and just sit down, and I'm like, you okay? Nope, child abuse case. Okay, we're working on that too. In the meantime, we've got calls coming in. My neighbor's dog looked at me, I want it shot. This guy that I just kicked out of my campground because he was rude to my wife is threatening to dump his gray water tank all over the front yard of the campground. So my guys don't have time to process all of that. So they become very clingy and very needy. And I'm the one that gets the brunt of that, which is fine. That's part of my job. So it's, hey, Jess, I need this. Hey, Jess, I need this. Hey, Jess, can you take care of this? And it never fails. The printer goes down that they need to use to get the bar scans in for evidence. And the computer techniques called, and it's all this stuff. I say all that to say, in the back of my brain, my daughter had wanted to spend time with me that day. And I knew that, and I was feeling mom guilt. So I left over 3 hours late that day, which is fine. I'm on my way home thinking about my kiddo. And I called her and I said, you know what? Grab the horses, we'll go for a ride. So she was excited. She scooped up the horses. By the time I got home, she had them tied up, saddles and blankets out, ready to go. So we finish up and we take off and we're headed down the trail. My dog is happy, my horse is happy, my daughter's happy, everybody's happy. And all of that crap is finally starting to come off my back, when my daughter's horse just stopped in a bush for no reason. And instead of using my brain, I've trained horses my entire life. Hey Sid, jump up, jump off, walk him, let's reprogram his brain a little bit. Nope, I loop around behind him, grab his lead rope, and I'm turned in my saddle with my arm pulling her horse, not wrapped around the saddle horn like it should have been. Should have been a quick split second, a tug, and he's gonna go again. Nope. So I'm having my horse go and I'm pulling him, and all of a sudden he hops forward, smacks the rope on my horse's butt, which scared her. It would have scared me. She pulls forward, he pulls back, and he pulls me off my saddle, and I land on my horse, which was a double scare for her, and she just was like, whoa, and she tossed me up in the air. And I was up long enough to go, don't hit your head, don't hit your head, don't hit your head. And when I landed, I knew I broke many things. I remember sitting there, literally the worst pain I've ever been in my life. And Sid is just screaming right here. And I have no idea what she's saying, she's just screaming. And I finally look at her and I said, I need you to call your dad and get the boys here with us side by side, and then go get the horse. And she's like, okay. So off she went. I knew my guys were at home, and my horse had taken off that way. So I'm sitting on the ground. I had landed like this, and I can see my fingers moving, so I know I'm good there. I thought my toes were moving, they were not. And I look up in time to see my daughter tie her horse up around a tree on the side of a hill, and I am in so much pain I can't correct that. And she takes off over the hill, and I'm watching her horse pull and pull and pull until he snapped back, and I knew I was on the downhill side of him. He was right in front of me. He should have come back and rolled right over the top of me and run right over me. And I watched God's hand push that horse the other direction and sent him off running towards my daughter. And once I knew that I was okay there, I was like, I have got to lay down. I have got to lay down. And this voice in my head kept going, do not lay down, do not lay down, do not lay down. And it kept getting louder and louder and louder. And finally I yelled, fine, I won't. And it stopped. There was a lot of chaos that happened. I've been in emergency services for a very long time. You kind of, when you've been in that long, you have a dream team of, if I'm really hurt, this is who I need in the right spots, right? I knew Hapsy was in dispatch. She's the best dispatcher we've got. And I've always wanted her. I'm like, Lord, if things go south, I need Hapsy in dispatch. I want Thompson or Clevenger on shift, and I need Sam on the ambulance. And I knew Hapsy was in dispatch. So all of a sudden, my son is next to me and he's holding me and he's yelling, I found her, I found her, I found her. And my husband came flying up with us side by side, and they lifted me up. And my husband goes, are you okay? And I'm like, I think so. I just need to walk a little bit. Just let me keep walking. And he's like, babe. And I'm like, just let me keep walking, okay? I just need to walk it off. And he got real quiet and he goes, your legs aren't moving. And I looked down and they were carrying me. I thought I was walking. My legs weren't anywhere near the ground. They loaded me in the back of the side-by-side. They helped me lay down. My daughter, Custer County is super cool. We have this program. It's a test pilot where if a 911 calls in off of a cell phone, it automatically pings that cell phone. And then our dispatchers can send a text. And from that point on, it's pinging you every 30 seconds. You can upload photos no matter where you're at. We run GPS coordinates, and we can analyze, and we can find people very quickly. So they had launched that program, and so my daughter is texting dispatch, and I knew Hapsy had everything under control. And then I started thinking, who's on shift? What guy's coming for me? And it was Thompson, and I've worked scenes with Thompson, and I knew he was going to have it under control. He was going to be calm. He was going to calm my husband down because my husband was a hot mess. So we get back to the house, and Thompson pulls up. He's like, "You doing okay?" I'm like, "Yep." "I need the ambulance here." He's like, "Yep, ambulance is on its way." And I'm like, "Okay, Lord, 2 out of 3 is in place, but I'm still not believing this is as bad as what it actually is." The ambulance pulled up and Sam jumped out, and I just lost it. Mm-hmm. I was like, there is no way. There's no way at all. So they loaded me up in the back of the ambulance. They gave me 3 rounds of fentanyl. Nothing took the edge off. And by the time we got to the ER, they had the trauma room ready for me, which I did not realize. Got me in, all kinds of scans. And in the meantime, my husband just kept complaining about how hot it was in the room. And I'm like, "What's your problem, man? It's just right." And the nurse goes, "Yeah, it's like 105 in here because you are in shock." I was like, oh, okay, my bad. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. So lots of chaos. I had 2 IVs. They were trying to find me something to keep me comfortable. And I tell you what, there's not a drug on the planet that will fix that. They got the results back, and the ER doctor walked in, and he said, "Well, it's good news." And I said, "Okay." And he goes, "Your tailbone's shattered, and your T12 is fractured." And I went, "How is that good news?" And he goes, "You're not dead." Fair enough, 2 people had died that morning.